Well, it's alright to be a little bitty in a little hometown or a big old city. Might as well share, might as well smile. Life goes on for a little bitty while.
Hey, you're watching another episode of Think Tank. I'm Drake. Thanks for watching. We're going to start today by answering a question left by David. He says, could you explain why it would matter if we went over the debt ceiling? Seems like it's just a made-up number, which people can just change at any time. So I'm not really sure why it even exists. I agree, though, we should just be working towards paying it off. Well, great question, David. And I feel in order to fully answer that, I should give you a brief budget history. And you know how brief I could be. I'll try to really make this as, I call it Drake short. So we'll try to make this Drake short. Before the debt ceiling, the Department of Treasury actually had to request any new addition to the debt through Congress. Congress voted and passed legislation allowing the allotted money to be spent on whatever military, states, bonds, to pay back bonds, whatever. Well, during the 20th century, this is when the progressive movement really started exploding, as well as spending did too, and that system became inefficient. It just became ridiculous to request so much money. It would be all the time. So Congress decided to give total authority to the Treasury to spend any amount of money they wanted up to a certain debt ceiling that Congress would set up through legislation. But we all know that the government never stays within its means, and since this is just March 1962, the debt ceiling has been raised 74 times, and 10 of those times have been raised since 2001. So that's a brief history of the debt ceiling. And as far as the first part of the question, could you explain why it would matter if we went over the debt ceiling? Well, honestly, David, nobody knows. It's never happened before. We've never exceeded the debt ceiling. Government shutdown occurs if lawmakers fail to appropriate money for federal agencies and programs like Social Security or Medicare or any of the entitlement programs, or just keeping the government rolling, paper, payroll, stuff like that. The doomsday scenarios vary from the government shutting down to a worse financial crisis than 2008, but they really have no idea. And as far as, it seems like it's just a made-up number that can change at any time, so I'm not sure why it even exists. That's somewhat true. The ceiling currently is set at $14.294 trillion. However, the total can fluctuate up and down daily. So, from my understanding, and if a viewer knows this answer, please comment this, email me, we can get a better idea. But I don't know the limit of the fluctuation, but apparently the ceiling's around that number. It fluctuates daily. I guess if you wake up on one side of the bed or the other. I don't know. Well, I hope that answered your question, David. And we're going to move on to our main topic. This morning, during a press meeting, Robert Gibbs was questioned about a quote that then Senator Obama said, voting against actually raising the debt limit. I'll read you the quote, and I'm going to show you that clip real quick. Then Senator Barack Obama. The fact that we are here today to debate raising America's debt limit is a sign of leadership failure. Leadership means the buck stops here. Instead, Washington is shifting the burden of bad choices today onto the backs of our children and grandchildren. America has a debt problem, you think, and a failure of leadership. Americans deserve better. I therefore intend to oppose the effort to increase America's debt limit. Watch the video.
And I think what is important is understand that the raising the debt limit was not in question. I think it's important that the outcome, based on the outcome of that vote, as I mentioned, the full faith and credit was not in doubt. Full faith and credit of our government and our economy was not in doubt.
He says the full faith and credit of the U.S. government was not in doubt. In 2006, on the cusp of the worst financial meltdown since the Depression. Isn't it weird? It makes things sound, oh, everything was great, everything was fine. We were just, we're just doing a normal vote to raise debt to get to where we're going to be today. What's the big deal? Come on. Jeez, come on, guy. Now, the media's focusing on him doing a 180 from talking about, well, I didn't want to raise the debt ceiling. Now, all of a sudden, he does want to raise the debt ceiling. Well, and they're questioning him on that 180. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say he didn't want to raise the debt ceiling then, and I don't think he wants to raise the debt ceiling now. I'm sure, well, hopefully you guys are familiar with the FCC passing net neutrality. And if you're not, okay, I might give you a little freebie because it was extremely shady, and they really didn't, they tried to do it backdoor, everything. Don't worry about it, guys. Hey, nothing's going on here. Just go on with your lives. Well, FCC wanted to pass net neutrality. They tried to get Congress to pass legislation. Didn't work. So the FCC said, we're going to regulate ourselves. We're just going to change our regulations internally in the FCC and implement these net neutrality rules. And, you know, we'll start there, and we'll just slowly implement this, and it's going to be law eventually. Basically, they went around Congress. Oh, who cares about Congress? They don't want to listen to us. We're just going to do what we want to do. Now, it's Congress's job to raise the debt ceiling. Now, say the debt ceiling doesn't raise. Now, we talked about this in David's question. What happens if we get to the debt ceiling and it doesn't go up? All these nightmare scenarios are going to happen. You think government's going to shut down? You think they're going to say, well, guys, it was a great run, 200 and something years, but we hit the debt ceiling. Hey, slap on the butt's a good game. It's not going to happen like that. Who do you think is going to run in and save the day? I'd like to know you guys' opinion on this. Email me, drakekiley@gmail.com. Leave me comments. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there. I'm trying to empower you guys. Together we can change this country.